Greetings in the name of Odun Odunamore. All that is good and great, all that is blessed and beautiful, all that is creative and conscious, and all that is positive and possible. May the warm sun rays greet you each and every morning, and may your day always be full of joy. Hotep, I'm Adisola Bayo Bankole, your host to Mindvibes, Thoughts from a Curious Mind, a bi-monthly podcast series exploring and examining social phenomena then and now. Now, in this episode of Mindvibes, I'm going to be dealing with something that I kind of, was taken back by with Roland Martin and on his show, Roland Martin Unfiltered. And so I kind of give this piece a title called The Potency of Words, the use of them, how they can heal or hurt, why we must choose what and how we say carefully. Now, before we begin, hit the like button, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Now again, the potency of words, the use of them, how they can heal or hurt, why we must choose what and how we say carefully. Quote unquote, speak the speech, I pray you, as I pronounced it to you trippingly on the tongue. But if you mouth it as many of your players do, I had as lief the town crier spoke my lines. Shakespeare's Hamlet. Now, excuse me. Now, although words have not directly killed anyone, yet they have caused wars and destruction by the flippancy in their usage. The old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, doesn't hold too much weight. Since words have been used to create an atmosphere of hate and fear, and with their usage, yes, can cause harm to someone. Maybe not like sticks and stones that hurt one physically, but is more damaging emotionally and psychologically when they are being used to demean, disparage, or to denigrate. The lasting damage can be more pernicious. This is why I was struck with Roland Martin, whom I admire and respect, what to me seemed so casual with his idea that what Chris Rock said were just, quote-unquote, words. On his show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, that aired a few days after the Oscar with the incident between Rock and Smith in March of 2022. Particularly given that Roland is a journalist, therefore words are his trademark, as one who deals with communication via the use of language. To make that casual statement belies the weight, the depth with using words and their power that either hurt or heal. No one should take words lightly, especially those of us within the artistic and entertainment profession. But this goes especially for comedians, no matter if they are stand-up or writing a sitcom show. This also applies to talk show commentaries. Now here I am dealing with the podcast host Joe Rogan with his perpetual use of the N-word, his casualness of misrepresentation of certain realities. Now here I'm talking about, because what Mr. Joe Rogan was doing was using the N-word, which many of us, we buried that word because it's just too denigrating to who we are as a people. And yet here he was, a white man, using it, and he was also utilizing misrepresentations of certain realities, such as the COVID-19. And this is something we have to be very careful with, because when we have that kind of platform, we're under the spotlight, and so you really have to take special care in how we deal with certain things. Some years ago, there was a dispute that was of an international nature. And I believe this was during the Obama era when they were dealing with the quote-unquote Iran's nuclear program. There were linguistics that had to be worked out. I believe there was a difference in the words and, or, and either. One implies the possibility of continuing dialogue. I believe the other two were seen as an ultimatum. Though to many, this seemed trifle, but when dealing with a contract, when dealing with language that can tip the scale one way or the other, one has to be very, very careful in what they say and the words they choose to say it with. That's why lawyers are very, very, my uncle is a lawyer. And he whenever you are dealing with a document, a contract, he is very meticulous in seeing what you are saying, how you are saying, and what the words you are using. Now, in the Summer Olympics of 2016, I believe a young gymnast by the name of Gabby Douglas was emotionally and psychologically traumatized simply because of the words used against her about her hair. Idiots. That's why you have to be careful with the internet and Facebook. Because, you have idiots out there. Just plain idiots. They're dealing with this young lady who is doing a phenomenal job as being a gymnast. A phenomenal job. Winning gold medals. And yet, these idiots don't take the time to think that this girl is sweating. So, her hair, is not going to be the way it was when she came in. See, again, this is about black women's hair. And yet these idiots, these Monday night quarterbacks, so they're talking about her hair, just caused this young lady to be emotionally traumatized because of the words that they were using. Words and the use of them are essential in our everyday lives. It is what we use to communicate with. They are how we function in all situations. Now, back in the days, I could never do that. I don't know why. I just don't have that, that swag. I wish I did. Even though I'm in age now, I still wish I had it. But back in the day, many brothers were affluent with words that were able to persuade sisters to have sex with them. They were Mac Daddy and stuff. I never had. I knew a couple of friends had it. My brother kind of has it. They could be very persuasive. And many times salesmen and shysters and grifters, they also have that ability, and carnival barkers, they also have that ability to use words, just like those of us who are in the artistic field. On the other hand, many who are disabled hear words that tend to hurt because of what is often coming off as a joke. But it's really being denigrating by what is being said. Now, still, When children hear words of comfort or inspiration, they come alive and light up like a Christmas tree. It is what gives them the will to move on, to do and be their best. Words, however, also have been used in psychological warfare to break down the so-called enemy, or make someone emotionally and psychologically dependent on one that is an abuser. There's psychological abuse, emotional abuse. You have a man that is abusing his wife, not only physically, but if not physically, they do it psychologically. They'll use words like, but you can't make this on your own, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. And then you use that word can't. And the universe has a funny way of dealing with that. But using the word can't could also be debilitating. My queen always deals with me with, honey, don't be using that word, because it can stifle your growth. They have the power to destroy a citizen of a nation, or in the case with the use of the word, the N word, to denigrate a whole people and their culture. Now, I forget if it was 2012 or, somewhere along that line. In the interview with O'Reilly from Fox News, Mr. O'Reilly was trying to get then President Obama to say something. And what President Obama reminded O'Reilly is the reality that as the president, he must be very careful with what he says and the words he uses, because they have real consequences, either with the markets or they could start a war. This is what now is happening with President Biden in dealing with when he uttered the words that Putin needs to go. This statement, these words, sent shock waves around the world, and people are continuing to fear and hold their breath as to what Putin will do after hearing these words. All right? I mean, now I don't particularly care for Joe Scarborough. I think he's a closet bigot. That's just my opinion. But he did say something that I could get behind when Biden uttered those words. Joe Scarborough said, thank you. Who cares what Putin thinks? Because as Biden said, it ain't going to matter what he says about Putin. Putin's going to do what he wants to do. I mean, Putin is just, he's just a minuscule of a man playing with his little wee because he wants to be king of the jungle or king of the forest or whatever, So he's going to do what he wants to do, I am not too concerned about what transpired between Rock and Smith. However, you cannot, as I believe Roland did, dealing with the fact that what Mr. Rock uttered as a joke to Smith's wife Jada was just words. Again, nobody likes to be the butt of a joke, and no one should use any form of physical or psychological violence towards someone. We must find a way to de-escalate an awkward or unflattering moment. However, even for comedians, there is a line that must be drawn, topics that must be treated lightly. Now, we are all richer for those who can make us laugh and get us out, if only for an hour or so, out of our mundane existence and bring a little joy into our space. we like our comedians, and sometimes the comedian, through their jokes, can be critiquing the society or the situation that's happening. But, again, there are times you gotta pull back. Yet again, there has to be some policing about how you broach a subject, either in stand-up or routine sitcom. Now, I'm not sure if it was Mel Brooks or Gene Wilder or one of those comedians once commented that it took him a long time before he could do a Hitler joke because he understood the pain that this subject could possibly bring to many who had survived under Hitler's cruelty. The same way George Carlin dealt with the topic of rape. How do you deal with that? Because you're dealing with women who have been abused like that. How do you make a joke about it? For any one of us who travel down that road of the artistic profession, we are both entertainers and educators. There is a certain responsibility we have when it comes to utilizing language and words, no matter the medium we operate in. Again, no matter if we're writers, we're actors, we're singers, we're commentators, no matter. There are just certain things that we need to be cognitive of. Again, not to press the point of the importance of words, but words have meaning and gravitas to them, and how we use them can cause damage or be powerful in healing, changing, as well as bring joy into someone's life. This is not to say that those of us who are in the artistic and journalistic profession, where words are our tools, will not from time to time slip up and make errors with the usage of words. It is, however, incumbent upon us to make corrections when this occurs. In this case, I am not privy to what, and if Mr. Rock acknowledged his error, and although Mr. Smith did, I am in no way excusing his behavior. I am merely commenting on someone who I have grown to respect and admire, and whom I have come to see as noteworthy, Mr. Roland Martin, who I see is a treasure trove of insightful commentary and a wealth of knowledge. But in this case, I feel he made an error by seemingly dismissing the importance of words, especially coming from that brother, since both he and I deal with words within our respective profession. The word or the supposed joke that Mr. Rock made at the expense of Jada was not only as stinging and hurtful to her, but to everyone going through that painful affliction. And to dismiss it offhand, I believe does a grave disservice to the ideals of civility and decency. We must all learn from our mistakes, be able to check others with compassion when they cross certain lines. Yes, we must refrain from any physical, mental, or emotional violence to resolve the situation we find ourselves in. But at the same time, we must always be cognitive of how we act, but more importantly, what we do and how we use words. And no matter if it is put in some form of humorous expression, words have consequences, and they must be used wisely and carefully. And we must consider what and how we see or how we use the jewels known as words. We cannot just easily, with a cavalier attitude, dismiss them altogether. For words, from day one, has been used both in destructive and or creative ways. The question is, how do we choose to use them? You know, how do we utilize words to bring about a more understanding and loving and sociable atmosphere for this society and make this society more a harmonious one, and to give it that utopic humanity. Now, this was my take on the potencies of words and how we should choose to use them, right? But hit that like button, hit that like button, share, subscribe, leave a comment. But until next time, this is the D-Solar Biobank calling, saying may we all strive to bend the arc of justice to the arc of humanity and believe that peace and love can be achieved. Adasi P.